Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.
Deepika, first of all, loved the trailer of Chhapaak.
Thank you.
It was very heartbreaking, but also very inspiring.
Yes.
And as I was watching it, I was just thinking that here's a woman whose beauty has been fetishized and celebrated in movies, in ads, on magazine covers, and of course you're a wonderful actor, but your face is so much a part of your persona. What was it like to just let go of it?
You know, Anu, I like the words you chose, heartbreaking yet hopeful, because that's exactly what the film is. Having said that, as far as the look is concerned, and having to drop all of it is a question that I'm being asked, and rightly so. But it's not something that crossed my mind at all, ever. When Meghna came to me with this subject last year, I was in a completely different headspace. I had just gotten out of Padmavat. I was looking at doing something a little more contemporary, love story, you know, maybe like in a Ye Jawani space, maybe in a cocktail space. You know, I was looking for something completely different, and I got a call from the team saying, Meghna would like to meet you. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And I didn't know her too well before this. And so she comes home and she opens her laptop and she starts reading, and in like 2 pages I was like, I'm doing this film. And she's like, really? And I said, yeah, like I've found my next film. I've been on this journey for a while and I finally found what I want to do next. And then she continued talking, and then suddenly in the middle of some other completely random conversation, she's like, can I give you a hug? Because it took her that much time to digest or to realize, because I think somewhere in her head also it was like, we'll try.
Yeah.
You know, we'll try. She'll say no, but we'll try.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And she didn't want to live with the regret of having not ever tried. We didn't continue the narration after that. We met much later on, where she gave me the entire narration. And through that process, not once did I think about it from a vanity perspective of what the audience is going to think, or how am I going to shed having looked a certain way. I was thinking about it from a practicality point of view, like how are we going to achieve this? Wow, there are so many stages in it. So how we, like, I've never done a prosthetic film before, a prosthetic heavy film before, and I've never done, I've never played a real life living character in my life before. So I had these sort of things going on in my head, like how are we going to achieve the look? Am I going to look like, are they going to make me look like Malti, like Lakshmi, or are they going to make me look like Deepika, who, you know, God forbid, had to go through something like this. So those were the technical things were what were going on in my head.
Even on the first day of shoot, vanity didn't factor in at all?
And it was so liberating.
What do you mean?
It was so liberating because people didn't recognize me.
Wow.
People
What did that feel like?
It was so liberating. We were shooting in Delhi, and of course the word spread much later on ki, acha, yahan pe shooting ho rahi hai. And kiski shooting ho rahi hai. Then someone from production, or you know, like eventually the news spreads, and that's how people got to know I was there. But any location we went to, initially I could just go wherever I wanted to, and of course people would look because they were curious about my face. And some people were like, is it her? Is it not her? We're not sure, but she doesn't look like this, you know, so all of those. But it was extremely liberating because it's been a while since I've been able to just go out like that. I mean, I don't mean it, it's not a nice thing,
sure,
you know, but that's the practical reality of what a shooting day was like.
Yeah.
So no, not once, not even on the first day. In fact, I want to tell you this incident where we finished the, we achieved the prosthetic, and I'd fallen asleep, and I woke up, and when I got up from that chair and I looked at myself in the mirror for the first time, I looked at Meghna and I said, Meghna, I feel exactly like myself. And she said, that's the movie. Because it's really beyond what we see in the mirror every day. And apart from the fact that this much was different. Everything else was the same, and that's the film.
Yeah. You know, I saw a TED talk that Lakshmi did, and she talked about how when the acid hit her, she said her face melted like plastic.
Yeah.
And just the horror of that statement. You know, how did you understand that and then reenact it?
Look, if I may say, I don't think it'll ever be the same. You know, what she actually went through versus what I've had to recreate. I've had to imagine it.
Yeah.
I've had to, of course, in conversation, understand from her what those moments, and it's also so painful when you're talking to someone like that. You don't want someone to relive those moments again, you know, and get into the minute details of kitne second pe ye hua,
Right.
you know, it's a tough conversation to have with
Yeah.
somebody. Like, what were you thinking at that moment? Where were you exactly at that moment? You know, so it's like having to ask, but still having to handle it very sensitively and gently. At least that was my perspective. Now, I don't know if I could have just been brash about it. I chose not to do that. But in whatever way that I could get any kind of information from her. But of course, at the end of the day, I'm enacting it. In her case, it's the reality.
Yeah.
You know, so as an actor and as with Meghna as my director, I think we've done the best that we can based on our sensitivities, based on our understanding, based on our knowledge. We've tried to recreate it as honestly and authentically as possible. But of course, that can never compare to what she's obviously been through.
You know, Deepika, I don't know if you realize it, but you use the word authentic a lot.
Yeah.
In many of your interviews, I've heard you say it. In fact, I was reading one where you talked about how you didn't sign a film for 2 years
Yeah.
because it didn't feel authentic. So,
Yeah.
how do you define authentic?
I think exactly this. I mean, I think, there's that deep, that gut and that voice that all of us have. And when you cut out the noise and you cut out the silence, it becomes louder and louder. And I've always hugely relied on that. Instinct, I have always relied on. Authenticity, I have grown into. I can't say that I've always been that. I've always wanted to be that, but I always succumbed, and I always felt like, no, how can I be this, or how can I be that? I'm expected to be this, I'm expected to be that. But now it could be, now I can turn around and say that it's the way the industry or society expects one to be, or maybe it's all just in my head. But the fact remains that for a pretty long period of time, I always felt like I'm like this, but outside I'm being something else. But I've found that along the way, including if it means not signing a film because I've not found anything that was exciting or challenging enough. I'm okay with that decision.
But tell me, the whole year you had no release. Was there a moment of feeling insecure?
No.
Not at all?
No. It was very refreshing. It was very emotionally extremely refreshing for me, physically refreshing for me. And the thing is, it's not like I was not on that creative journey. It's just when I've not been on a film set. That's it. Everything else has been the same. In fact, I've probably heard narrations and scripts in the last year the most in my entire life. Every day I would have taken at least one narration, if not more.
Really?
So in that sense, it's also given me so much clarity in terms of who's doing what,
what you like,
what do I want to do, where am I at, what are the kind of stories that I want to tell, what have I done before, what do I want to do now, what are different people doing. It gave me so much time to just think creatively, because also what happens is actors tend to get into this rut because of insecurity, of having to churn out films all the time. You don't have a release next year, oh my god, how can you not have a release next year? You don't have 3 releases next year. Your career's finished.
Yeah.
In the West, it doesn't work like that, you know, and I am in this for the long run. I do not intend burning out in the next couple of years. And I was very close to that in 2014, you know, and so I don't want to get into that place again. I do look at this as something that I want to do for many, many more years. And so for that, I'm going to have to be, you know, make the right choices.
And maybe this is what success looks like, where you can take a year to decide what you want to do next.
I'd like to believe so. No? Sure, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's certainly a luxury.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll pat myself on the back and I'll say, you know what, I've earned it.
Yeah.
You know,
of course you have.
So sure, I'm not apologetic about it. And, you know, I'm not even concerned about what the interpretation of that might be, or, you know, or anything that anyone else might say. I think I've been, you know, it also allowed me to just do simple, regular things that I need to do for my life to nurture myself. I've traveled, I've spent time with family. So yeah, it's been creatively, it's been extremely enriching.
Right.
It's been, I think that's the way I would put it, you know. It's been a very enriching year for me.
You know, I remember we talked in Cannes last year and you said you really wanted to do a love story.
Yes.
Is Shakun Batra's film that love story?
It is a love story, but it's not that love story. But it's cool and it's fun. In a way, yes. I think in a way, yes. Also because of what Shakun brings to the table. I just feel like he's so good with interpersonal relationships, and that's completely up my alley. The kind of movies that I've loved watching as an audience and as an actor, I've loved being a part of. You know, whether it was Piku, whether it was Tamasha, I've loved those sort of, you know. So this will be, and I've really waited. I'd say I've waited to work with Shakun, and that's finally happened. Shakun.
I have to tell you, I saw Tamasha again recently, and just so lovely. What you did in that film is just such wonderful work.
It's special.
It's special.
It's very, very special.
And your character, Tara, is just, and you did a great job. You did a great job. Tell me, what kind of films do you want to produce?
I think similar to the ones I'd like to act in. I also want to clarify, because there's this thing that, oh, now I'll only act in movies that I get to produce. Or, you know, every movie that I act in, I have to produce. So there's all of these kind of things, and there's, no, it's not, you know. I'd like to support films and enable films that I feel need that little extra. Every film may not need that, you know, like a film like, you know, with Shakun, with Dharma, doesn't need anything more from me, you know, but maybe a film like Chhapaak, that's a sensitive subject, needs that little extra sort of involvement and nurturing.
But do you get a little kick out of it? Your name up there as co-producer?
Yes, I don't think I understood the magnitude of it until the day the trailer launched and I saw my name there. I had goosebumps. I'm not going to lie.
It's nice, no?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you just feel
it is. It really felt like, wow. And also the kind of content that I was backing, that also made a huge difference. I was like, wow, it's like, it's this and, okay, my name's up there, it's nice.
You know, Deepika, I saw another interview you did with Financial Times where you were talking about the startups that you've invested in and stuff, and you said that everything I do needs to have purpose and must have a positive impact, which is wonderful, but can it be limiting as an artist? Because, I mean, that's probably not the sentiment that Joaquin Phoenix had when he did Joker, or Ranveer had when he did Padmavat. So, can that idea of positive impact actually limit you as an actor?
What is social impact? It doesn't have to be always something to do with like a social message or something that's earth-shattering. It could even be something as simple as it made you think, it made you happy, it made you sad, it made you smile. So they don't necessarily have to be, you know, women-centric or socially
Sort of hard-hitting
yeah, it doesn't
type, yeah.
necessarily have to be those. It could also be just a beautiful love story that makes you reflect, makes you think. So I think that's where I'm coming from. And yes, I mean, more often than not, I would like to be part of these kind of films. And if a Joker came my way, let's see. It'll be tough. It will be tough. It will be tough. But I think, like I said, I think it's also your intent and where you know, as long as I'm clear about why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, it's important to have that clarity.
I suspect you would make a great bad guy.
I'd like to do that.
No?
I'd like to do that, yeah. I could be the bad guy. The film could have a slightly more meaningful approach to it. So, let's see.
You also wrote an op-ed for the New York Times about how you dealt with anxiety and depression, and you said that you are very clear about self-care and looking after yourself, and you said that you surround yourself with honest people.
Yeah.
That's one of the key things that you do. So, what are they honest to you about, and how good are you at taking criticism?
What are they honest with me about?
Yeah. And are you good with criticism?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very good with criticism. In fact, I feel like a large part of where I am today is a function of the criticism. So I'd like to believe that I take criticism very well, but although that question should be pointed to my mother and sister, because they could also again chop me and just say, no, she doesn't take criticism well, and that's again honest feedback. But I'd like to believe that yes, I'm very receptive in that sense. I'm open, and I myself start getting bored and feel like I'm stagnating if I'm not constantly thinking and evolving. So any kind of positive or negative feedback or criticism is always welcome. It could be anything from what were you wearing to I didn't like your sticky slick bun to you've ordered too much food, any of these things, and right up to, I mean, absolutely anything.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm fearful of is for my friends or my family to say that I've changed as a person. That's the one thing I'm the most fearful of. So I'm always conscious of that. That's one criticism I won't know how to handle. I think I'll be very upset with myself if they were ever to say that.
Okay, so then I need to ask you this thing, because I was very curious about it. You just celebrated your first anniversary, and it felt like we all celebrated it with you because there were photo opportunities for like everything that you did, and I just wondered, I was like, why was that necessary? Was it fan service?
Yes.
Because there's so much curiosity?
Yes, because at some level I think we do feel a lot of gratitude for the love and the support that we get from our fans. And specifically with regards to our wedding, I think we were extremely private, apart from putting out a few pictures. And I mean, we were, even with regards to our anniversary, it's not like pictures were not going to go out anyway. You might as well put out a good picture. Or what we think is good, right?
Right. You might as well control it.
Yeah, we might as well. Not that we can control what everyone else was, the
Sure.
media was there, and
Right.
we went to very, very public places. So, in that sense, I don't think we've actually put out anything. If at all anything, we just had, our own photographer giving us lovely pictures. But yes, to answer your question, while we kept the ceremonies private and discreet, the fact that, it was important for us to announce to our fans that we were getting married. That much we owe them. It was important for us to share a few glimpses of our life without saying too much or without sharing too much. So I think that's what we've believed in always, that don't get so cagey to a point where it's because they would be disappointed, and neither of us would want that. And at the same time, find that middle ground where you also feel like, what, I'm okay sharing this much. That's also the way I'm on social media.
Yeah.
I'm not off social media because I completely understand you know, I completely understand what that platform means and what it brings and its value. But how do you find that mid path between who you are and what you want to do with it and what is expected of you? Like, I've never been apologetic about the fact that I am an awkward person, I am a shy person, and it really does take a lot for me over the years. It's taken me a lot to put myself out there, you know. They get that, my fans get that, they understand that. They also realize that I'd like to protect my privacy, but at the same time give them a glimpse into my private life. So we've always found that balance. Yeah, so there's no confusion at all.
What do you most want people to take away from Chhapaak?
So much. It would be very difficult to say. I think hope. I think, yeah, if I really had to sum it up and really crunch it down, I'd say hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because of course the film's going to say so much more. It's going to talk about acid violence, it's going to talk about Lakshmi's journey, it's all of those things, but exactly like in the trailer, and a lot of people pointed out, it's upbeat, it's positive, it's hopeful, it's inspiring. So it's all of those, it's actually primarily all of those things, which is why we felt it was important to tell this story. Sure, the film will throw light on the violence, but it's also what is more important is what she's made of her life, or what these girls have made of their lives after having been through something like this. And that is the story that we're telling.
Sounds like a great one to begin a new decade with.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Deepika.
Thank
good
you.
Luck.
Thank
good
you.
Luck. Thank you.
If you like this video, subscribe to Film Companion.